And we are live.
Oh, hey.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
We are here. We are live. We're not in the same places anymore. Devin
No.
has made it back to London, safe and sound.
Despite the weather's best efforts, is what I'm going to say. It was not. It was a bumpy plane ride.
Despite a certain world leader on that side of the planet's efforts either. So, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Boris Johnson.
We don't need bots.
Yes.
We don't need bots.
I mean,
we don't need bots.
if it gets us to affiliate, if it gets us to affiliate here on Twitch, like why not?
Bots, get over here then. I'm fine with
it. Yeah. I think we're just going to get into it.
I think we should.
Yeah. So, hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And I don't know what I did between our last show we did like this and this week, but I have my camera set up differently and I'm really liking this angle. So
I know, I like it. It's a very flattering angle.
So today we are talking about Ryan's pick for the week, which is the 2013 film Blue Ruin. But before we get into that, anything you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, I watched a thing. I don't know who's going first here. I watched a thing.
I think Ryan's going first. But I need to ask you
guys.
Okay,
I'll go first.
Yeah, I need to ask you guys something. Did you guys see the picture that Weird Al Yankovic posted today?
Of Daniel Radcliffe as Weird Al Yankovic?
Daniel Radcliffe as Weird Al Yankovic.
Yes.
Is it as good as I assumed it was going?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like.
I mean, he's perfect.
Yeah. I cannot wait for this movie. I don't think we've talked about this on the show yet, but I cannot wait for this movie. Shut up and take my money.
I am very familiar with Weird Al's history, and I wonder what part of it they're going to make the compelling drama part of it, and because I mean, he has essentially one very, very tragic thing in his life to happen. And I really hope that they don't base the whole movie around it. But he's just a silly dude. He's just always been a silly dude.
What was the tragic thing in his life?
He bought his parents a house with part of his success money, and they both died in it because of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh wow.
And I genuinely hope that that's not the focus of the movie. And I hope it's yeah.
If Funny or Die is producing it, I don't think that will be the center of the movie.
Fair. It's a silly guy. He made the Volcano Worshippers Club in high school. I want to watch that.
Yeah.
I want to watch him. Yeah.
What if this is Weird Al's telling of his caricature, his life story?
So what his on-stage persona could have gone through growing up?
Yes. That's what I kind of see this being because of Daniel Radcliffe's past performances and the type of movies he's done. Something like that would be really right up his alley.
Isn't that mostly just UHF though?
I mean, kind of to a point. Okay, so a prequel to UHF.
Look,
but I mean, not. I mean, it's more to Weird Al's caricature of himself when he's on stage.
Okay, how many Twinkie Wiener sandwiches do we think are going to be in the movie?
Not enough.
Not enough is the answer to that. It's the only answer.
That sandwich was delicious. I might go to the store and buy stuff to make one tonight because I stand by the Twinkie Wiener sandwich is delicious, and you cannot change my mind on that.
I still need to try it.
And it is the most American thing ever.
I don't know if I can make it here, to be fair.
Yes, you can. You can make a British version of it. It's fine.
You can't get Twinkies?
I don't know. I haven't found Twinkies, but I also don't actively look for Twinkies. So maybe they exist here.
I'm sure you can find Twinkies. I think the biggest problem is going to be Cheese Whiz.
Yes. No, they have American aisles where you can sometimes find Cheese Whiz.
Oh, okay.
The thing that's gonna do it for me is how they package hot dogs here. Because they package them in a glass jar in what looks like formaldehyde, like everyone's science fair project. That's how you buy hot dogs here. That's why they did not become popular here.
Are they tightly packed though, or are they just floating
No,
pickles?
they're floating. They're just floating around like pickles.
Why? Okay, I'm sorry. I need to go into a little bit of a cultural rant.
Do it.
Why do I get it. we use, Alan and I use a bastardized version of the English language. I get that. I will give the British the true, title of using English correctly. Okay,
Sure.
there's that. But their food, I don't understand the way stuff is packaged. Like, it's kind of like that Simpsons episode where they go to Australia and Lisa's like, we call it a bullfrog, and the guy behind the counter is like, oh, we were gonna call it like a widgeby gobbet or something like that. It's like, that's like the food version of like, you put hot dogs in a jar and just let them float around. Like, as an American who understands how unhealthy hot dogs are, but at the same time really like hot dogs, that is a horrible way of packaging.
But look, now with all of the extra hot dog water, you can pour a little bit into an extra dirty martini. And you can't do that in the United States.
Hold up on that statement. What?
You know, you pour olive juice in an extra dirty martini. Now you can just do it with hot dog water.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, no, stop. That is a crime against God and nature, just like fat-free Twinkies. Like,
Look up
those shouldn't exist, and that shouldn't exist.
If you ever have a chance and you're by a computer, and I don't assume that you both are, look up a British dish called stargazy pie, and you'll know.
Because do you want to know why? Because I've seen enough British dishes that would gross me out. So no, I'm not going to add another one to the list.
It's a real food they eat it here. Promise.
What was it called?
I don't care.
Stargazy pie, like stargazing, but with an E at the end, and then pie.
Is it like a dinner version of like a moon pie, which is also a disgusting thing?
No, it is a fish-filled meat pie, which is traditionally served with the heads of the fish sticking out the top of the dish, looking up at the stars while you eat the rest of it.
Okay, so that's a yes, not a no.
Is that close to what a moon pie is? I don't think moon pies are like that.
You don't understand my disdain for moon pies.
What did moon pies ever do to you?
Making me think it was going to be a vanilla sandwich and not a marshmallow one. The first time I ever had one. Biting into one of those things and thinking that you're going to be getting like two chocolate, like cookie things, and then having like vanilla cream in the middle, just kind of like a chocolate chip, cookie like sandwich. And instead I bite into it and it's like a banana flavored marshmallow. No.
Are those memes where everything's cake just your nightmare?
Kinda.
So I just pulled up a picture of stargazy pie.
Did you? Is it on the thing?
I had to see it, so did everyone else.
Yeah, it's that. It's disgusting, and this is where I live. This is where I live now.
Anyway,
let's get
back into today's topics. Also, moon pies are delicious. Just throwing that out there.
That's fine. That's fine. If you like them, good. That's more power.
Yeah.
The company has to stay, profitable somehow.
Right. Spoken like a true capitalist.
There you go.
Ryan, what did you watch this week?
So, I watched the first 4 episodes of Disenchantment of season 4, which I have to say I'm enjoying. I don't like the show as much as I like Futurama. I am discovering that I don't like it as much as I do The Simpsons, because I'm in season 7 right now of my official Simpsons watch.
You're
for
in
the first
season
time.
7 already?
You guys don't understand how I watch shows. Like, when I watch something, I have it on my phone in the morning getting ready for work. I have it on my phone for lunches. I come home and I'll watch 3 or 4 episodes in one shot, and then I'll go and do other stuff.
I'll tell you this, start to pace yourself, because you're in the best era of The Simpsons right now.
No. I believe me, I know. And there's stuff about The Simpsons that I really want to talk to you guys about, because I'm starting to realize some things about my own family. And not because of what's in the show, but by the episodes I remember watching.
Oh, no. Okay.
So I'm starting to get some parallels between times of we watched The Simpsons and times we didn't watch The Simpsons. I'm starting to understand some things. But besides that, on Disenchantment, if people kind of watch season 1 and they kind of didn't really pick it up, they're pretty much carrying this narrative that Elfo and Lucy, I believe, the demon, her demon little sidekick cat thing, there is an incredible really intertwined story going on. That is just hysterical to me. And I'm not a big fantasy person. I'm not a big like that category, that genre. But this pokes fun at that genre enough that I really enjoy it.
See, I like fantasy a lot, and I keep feeling like I would really like this, but I keep getting incredibly put off by like there's a preview that like plays and of it, and it's essentially like the princess, and then she's like, I don't want to be a princess anymore, and like goes out drinking.
Yeah,
And
that is only season 1.
well, my
She gets
assumption
involved
is
in she gets involved in so much stuff that she
Mm.
doesn't have time to do any of that.
yeah, my assumption is that's like episode 1, season 1, 2, because that's kind of how Netflix does its previews.
Yeah.
Is it like
Yeah.
puts together best bits from the first episode, and like I don't know that like premise of like you're supposed to be a princess. Why are you drunk at a pub? Like that doesn't like grab me enough.
I think the only Netflix show that doesn't show like episode 1, season 1 anymore is like House of Cards, for reasons.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about that, like, there's only 1 or 2 people chasing after her about drinking in bars, and other than that, everybody in town is so used to her doing that nobody like bats an eye at it.
Yeah. I remember watching at least most of the first season, if not the whole thing. But I know it's one of those shows that I just kind of forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
But if it like changes a bit like into this new season, maybe I'll pick it back up again and give it another shot.
Here,
because I'm a big Simpsons fan.
Yeah.
As you can see, I have the Simpsons comic right here. And like Simpsons pins scattered throughout my board here. And I like Futurama, and I pretty much like everything Matt Groening's done. I just haven't really given this a fair shot, I think.
Disenchantment, it kind of got off to like a bit of a stumble a little bit in season 1, but like to give you an idea from like what you guys know of Disenchantment to what I'll give you like a very quick unspoilery like version of what's going on at the moment. Bean was at the start of this season. Bean is being forced to marry the devil. Her demon sidekick is trying to find a way to get out of hell. Is trying to find a way to get out of heaven, and Elfo is finding out that his mom's an ogre and not an elf, and so it's really throwing him off.
Interesting.
So that's where they are now in season 4. And a lot of things changed between season 1 and season 4, and it's nuts. I mean, it really is. It's funny. So, I mean,
okay,
I like the humor in it.
I'll have to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Devin, you also have something from Netflix that you watched.
I do.
It's
called Inventing Anna. Okay. Before I go off on anything here, do you guys know the premise of the show?
I know I know a little bit.
Okay, Ryan?
Someone's trying to invent an Anna.
That's it. It's like that movie Weird Science, but with somebody named Anna this time. No. It's a story that's essentially a real life story. It's the life story of somebody who is maybe named Anna Delvey. She is this young woman who impersonated or kind of swindled her way into high society and cheated a lot of people out of a lot of money in an effort to look like she was rich and famous and well off and, you know, all of those things. It reminds me a bit of something that I had also watched but forgot to mention, The Tinder Swindler. If you guys have seen that, it is a bit like that, where she essentially uses one person to pay for one thing while she's with one group, then uses someone else to pay for something in the other group, and all this whole time keeping up this air of I'm this, you know, billionaire heiress, and all of those types of things. And it makes me mad, this show, in a way that not a lot of shows make me mad. And I don't want to turn you guys off of it if you're genuinely interested in watching this. But I think that as a society, if we're going to tell stories like this, we have a responsibility to correctly frame who the villain is and who the villain is not. And casting a swindler, somebody who has essentially stolen thousands of dollars from real people trying to, you know, work hard and make that money for real, that is not your hero in the story. Yes, they could be an anti-hero. They could be somebody that's like a, you know, an interesting villain. Like, they could set her up as a very interesting villain, but she is unequivocally the villain of this story. But you can tell that they paid her $300,000 for the rights of this story, with the caveat that she's not the bad guy.
Not only that, like, they had to pay so much for the story rights so that they could pay her legal fees.
Right.
Like, that's what I know about this. The whole Tinder swindler thing I could go off on too, because I haven't seen the show, but I know that he's like trying to make money off of his fame now, which is also disgusting.
Hate it.
Like, he's on Cameo now, so I guess I have to cancel that request for your birthday, Devin. 3 weeks too late.
I would be so upset if we gave him money.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do I know what causes the fact that we have to do stuff like that? Kind of like tell people, hey, who the villain is and like who the good person is. It's the fact that you have so many people that watch movies and identify too much with the villain or the issue. Like, you know, movie Falling Down. You're not supposed to love the guy that's going around LA causing havoc.
But
I don't know.
American Psycho. You're not supposed to like, you know, him for having a mental breakdown. Like, you're not supposed, like, it's supposed to be a mirror, not something you're supposed to try to find pride in.
I think, like, with the like, just going off of the one scene of Falling Down that I've seen, I think it's the, like, idolizing somebody who's able to say the things that you couldn't, at least in that aspect. As far as American Psycho goes, I mean, it's Huey Lewis in the News, who's not going to agree with that. But
you know what
like,
I mean, though.
No,
absolutely.
But no, like, the big thing was like even like the MCU's dealing with this now with the whole Thanos was right thing. Like, not only are fans saying that, but there's people in the world of the MCU who say that. Like, it's on coffee mugs. But no, I think I blame the Kardashians.
Yeah, it's got to start somewhere, right? I mean, maybe it was the Great Train Robbery movie. Maybe that's where it started, when movies started. I don't know. But, like, I just, it makes me so upset that they're framing her in this way where she looks like she's smart. Yes, she got caught and she's in jail. But also, it still kind of worked out for her. You too can be famous if you trick all of your friends and loved ones into paying you thousands and thousands of dollars. And sure, you'll end up in jail, but at least you got a cool, sassy attitude and a Netflix series based on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Also, as a weird personal note, I hate the subplots in it. All the subplots feel like they're just like really bad, like soap opera beats. Like, they wanted to make this couple seem like down to earth and relatable and there for each other. So all of their conversations happen in their bedroom while drinking wine, not sitting on any of the chairs in the bedrooms, not sitting on the bed. They're sitting at the foot of the bed, leaning against the bed, just chatting about life. It's like, stop it. Like, that's not how people sit.
Is this a show or a movie?
Movie. Or it's a show. It's a series.
Are you still watching it? Did you watch the whole thing?
I will not watch any more of it. I got to the part where they started giving me the answers. And
how many episodes?
I think it's 6. I got 4 in. Not 4. I
wouldn't have even
in.
gotten that far.
So I got to the point where because the whole episode 1 sets up like, what did she do? Who is this mysterious woman? She's in jail? I thought she was an artist. And does all asks all these questions. Like, great, I want to know these things. And then I found out about episode 3 that there's a documentary that just tells you what she did. And I'm like, good, that's the only thing I care about. I'm gonna stop this and watch the documentary. Got it.
I didn't realize Anna Klumsky's in this. So
from Veep?
From My Girl, but yes, Veep.
I don't know My Girl. Still haven't seen My Girl.
Oh, jeez.
Well, we did an episode on it.
Oh, I know that there are bees involved because of
just
your
watch
memes.
it. Just watch it. Just watch.
That's your homework for this week, Devin. You gotta watch My Girl and report back.
Done.
Just don't forget your glasses, okay?
Oh, okay.
Completely unrelated side note. I don't have anything prepared for this because I wasn't prepared to talk about this. Guess who showed up on the Righteous Gemstones this week?
Who?
Macaulay fucking Culkin.
No, he did.
He did.
Shoot, I gotta watch this. Okay.
Yeah, he shows up so the one character abandoned his son in the 90s at a mall at Christmas time. And like the whole season's dealt with like his guilt with that because he has another kid coming. So he goes to visit his adult son, and it's just Macaulay Culkin. So it's just Macaulay Culkin and Walter Goggins just acting it out, and it was phenomenal.
That's pretty amazing, though.
Surprise Macaulay Culkin is the best Macaulay Culkin.
Of course it is.
But, okay. Anything else on Inventing Anna?
No, that was it. Don't watch it. I hate it.
All right. Yeah, I'm sure my wife's not going to want to watch it because that's her name. But she does like watching the thing that I'm going to talk about.
Tell me.
The Hulu show Dollface. Have you guys heard of this show?
I have. It's the one lady from Zack and Cody, and
Brenda Song
and Kat Dennings.
Kat Dennings, yeah. Kat Dennings is the
There we
star.
go.
Like, she's the main
Okay.
character. Brenda Song's on it. Macaulay Culkin shows up in the first season.
No, he doesn't.
He does, yeah. He's actually Brenda Song's. I don't know if they're married or not, but I know they have a kid together.
Wow.
Yeah. So this show revolves around a group of women around our age. So a lot of the references that they make are right for our age group. The second season just premiered on Hulu a few weeks ago. And it deals a lot with like Kat Dennings' character turning 30 because there hasn't been a lot in pop culture that deals with that recently. But it's a really funny show. It pushes it's on Hulu, but it's an ABC show, but it pushes the line for a sitcom. Like this last episode we just watched before the show, like it cuts to the four main women like standing in a line in front of a wall of dildos.
Oh.
I was like, oh, you want to see that on ABC, but you can see that on
ABC.
It's really good. It's got a great cast. I highly recommend it.
This is going to sound like a really mean question, but like, is there a hook, or is it just like these are four women in their 30 or about to turn 30 navigating that time in their life?
The hook is Kat Dennings starts to have hallucinations of a cat lady who like guides her through life. Like the first episode is she gets dumped and realizes she has no women friends to turn to because she's kind of been absorbed completely by her relationship.
Sure.
So it's like trying to reconnect to old friends, and like this cat like guides her through like being a woman with friends. And now this season is like her like not so much like she fixed those relationships. So now you have to take care of yourself. Like put yourself first, not your friendships. Put yourself first. And Kat Dennings like, well, that's not what you told me last year. What changed? And but it's really well done. The cat lady effects seem weird this season. The first season, I think this premiered right before COVID hit. So so it's been like 2 years since the show aired, but they did like a quick recap of what happened during COVID. Like, oh, we're just gonna put a pin in everything because right after that last episode, COVID hit, and so like nothing's been resolved for the last 2 years. But we're gonna deal with it now, which I thought was kind of clever.
So wait, COVID like canonically happens in the show?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
That's an awesome way of dealing with it.
It is.
It
Good
really
job.
is.
And they kind of do like the one girl has like a boyfriend that she lived with during COVID that she's worried like now that they're going out in the real world like he's too good looking for her, and like it's really interesting how they deal with it. It's probably one of the better sitcoms I've seen in a long time.
Okay.
I definitely recommend it over How I Met Your Father, which I'm also still watching, but Dollface is better. But
I just had a really bad thought. So you know how people still do the whole thing about looking at a couple in public and going, wow, how did he or how did she land them, like they're so far out of their league. I have a very nasty suspicion that as we get older, like 20, maybe like 10 or 15 years from now, people are going to see other couples in public and go, oh, that's a COVID couple. They only got together because of COVID. You know what I mean? Like that whole thing? Like, I really wonder if that's going to be a thing. I really.
She was in his social circle. Sorry.
Joke's on them. I was in my relationship 10 years before. All right. I think that does it for what we watched this week.
I didn't watch too much else.
Let's get into today's main topic. But before we do that, I gotta do something. Hold on. Go in. There we go. And there we go.
Oh, that's perfect.
We're talking about the 2013 film Blue Ruin.
We both purposely made ourselves blue, by the way.
I really like that you did that, and I didn't do anything along those lines, as you can see.
That's okay.
It's the thought that counts. Like, your cord on your thing is blue. That was intentional.
It's always blue.
They don't need to know that.
Oh yes, they. Oh, anybody. Anyway, so we're doing Blue Ruin, like Alan said. It was.
Sounds right. Oh, hold on. I messed up. I messed up. Ryan, take that. Do that again. Do everything again because I didn't. I cut to you not realizing that we didn't have all of the sound ready to go. So that's my fault.
Huh?
I cut to just you, but I didn't realize your sound wasn't on in that window. So
good. I can do it over again and better.
Yeah.
So anyway, the movie we're doing is Blue Ruin. That's the film that I had both Alan and Devin watch, which I know neither of them had seen. It's a 2013 film. Now, I was introduced to this film in 2015. Kristen watched it. She thought that I would really like it, and so she kind of dragged me in front of the TV because I'm very hesitant to really watch anything. And I fell in love with this movie. I don't know why exactly. We are going to talk about all of the things that I like about this film, but for the life of me, over the past week, I cannot just name you one reason why I like this film. It's just a bunch of little reasons why I like this film. So that's my history with it. Which one of you guys want to go first and talk about your first run through with it?
Do you want to go first, Alan?
No, you go right ahead.
All right, sure. So I honestly had never heard of this movie before you had mentioned it. I think literally last week you heard me go, "What?" Like when you mentioned the movie.
Yeah.
But I think I've like seen this poster around somewhere. And I'm gonna be so before the movie, I was like, Ryan's having us watch this like art house movie. It's called Blue Ruin, and I like read the like plot synopsis, which is like, oh my, it's something like an assassin is like out for revenge or something like that, which is like the worst read on this movie like I think anyone could possibly give. Like it's so uncharitable and not what this movie is. But I read it and I was like, am I just gonna watch John Wick again? I don't want to watch a different John Wick. Holy cow, Ryan! This was a good movie. I like this movie a lot, and I'm happy to try to articulate why I liked it because I loved it. I mean,
yeah,
I was watching it and I'm like, this is why I like movies, like almost all the time. So I loved it, and I'm gonna just gush for the rest of the show.
Okay, Alan.
I don't know how I feel about this movie. I feel like I'm in the Devin spot that he's usually in. I'm torn on this movie. I like some of what they did. There are parts of this that I had to like not look at, and we'll get into that later. But at the end, like I don't know. The one thing I will say is I'm mad I had to get Cinemax to watch it. I couldn't even rent it from iTunes. I had to sign up for a subscription to Cinemax. Luckily, I got a free week, so
you should have told.
Do you own it, Ryan?
Krista, like, because it's on Amazon, and you could either rent it for like $3.99 or buy it for like $7.99. And her and I both love this movie, so we're like, we're just gonna buy it. We don't want to have to wait for this thing to cycle through the streaming services, so we just bought it.
Nice.
So
yeah, I mean, I didn't pay anything for it. As long as I cancel my Cinemax trial, I'll be fine. But it's like it was weird that it wasn't available on iTunes of all places. But yeah, I mean, there are things I liked about it. There are things I didn't like that we can get into. But overall, it was okay. Like, I think that's where I'm at.
Okay.
I'm middle of the road.
okay,
All right.
okay.
Challenge accepted, I think.
Yeah.
So
Convince
to
me,
get
Kevin.
in,
That's your job.
I will. I got it.
So to get into a little bit of history about the director and writer, because he hasn't really done much.
No.
Now he has done, when it comes to on IMDb and the section of like more like this, and it's basically stuff that he did. The first two things that come up is The Green Room, which is a movie that that's been on my watch list forever, and I think I'm finally going to watch it at some point this week.
Cool.
And which is another movie that he directed and wrote, and then a movie that he did back in 2007 called Murder Party that has a very interesting poster. Has a guy holding chainsaws in an X. There's that, but I mean, he's only only 3 major movies he's directed, and 2 of them are sitting at a 7.0 and a 7.1 on IMDb. So I mean, he's good average when it comes to the movies he does. But one of the things that stands out in this movie, and it's the biggest one piece of the puzzle to me, is the main actor, Mikan Blur. His last name's Blar. I'm just gonna go with that.
Blair. Is it Blair?
Blair. Thank you. Blair. Blair. So
I think it's Blair.
I'm dyslexic, so have fun with that.
So his IMDb picture, real quick, just looks like somebody de-aged John Goodman.
If it makes you feel better, I saw a picture of him and went, "Oh, Javier Bardem's in this movie." Wasn't
Javier Goodman.
Yeah. So that's probably like on the list of puzzle pieces as to why I like this movie. His is probably the biggest piece. His performance in this and his ability to absolutely look like he is out of his depth is amazing to me, because there are so many times where like you can tell he doesn't know what he's doing. He's making this up as he's going along. And there are moments where you can tell that he's just treading water. And that gets into one of my favorite scenes, but I'll save that for later. What did you guys think of his performance specifically?
I mean, I loved it. I love the fact that he looks and acts the way that he does, because I'm so sick of, I mean, I'm not sick of this, but I am kind of a little bit, where like, in order to make a situation more tense or a situation more difficult for like a protagonist in any kind of like revenge or action-y movie, they'll just be like, all right, we'll throw more bad guys in it, or we'll throw a big bad guy at him where he's really tall and buff and they have to do a punching contest. And like, I'm just so glad they didn't do that with this. And I'm so glad that like, he looks like he's in over his head, which added tension to what for like a John Wick movie would have been essentially like him going to the bathroom. Like, killing like one person with his back turned to him with a gun. Like, sure, John Wick would have done that and he didn't even have to like break a sweat. This guy, like, this was a tense, like, real moment. You felt the weight of what he was doing, and it added so much to it. I mean, even the beginning where you see him like, essentially homeless, like, I don't know, it did so much to endear me to the character without him even saying a word.
Which he doesn't for a long time.
And he mentions it, and it's so good. He has such a, I don't know, grounded is a word that people I think use too much without meaning too much. but I think it's a really grounded performance. He feels like a real person that like you would just see.
Yeah.
Let me use this word that I think is used too much to describe the thing that I as the thing that's being used too much.
I called it out, so it's okay to use it. That's how this works.
I mean, he's very quiet in the first 20 minutes of the film. I think the film does a good job of telling the story without using any dialogue. Because even when he's brought in by the cop, I don't think he really says anything.
No, not too much.
No.
So it does a good job of that, but I feel it felt tropey to me. Like it just felt like, okay, this guy's just gonna be quiet, and then he's gonna do this this ungodly deed, and just look like terrified the whole time. Like that's like, he just looked like he looked like a deer in headlights the whole time to me. And I'm not just talking about the beginning of the film. I'm talking about the whole time. Like it's just something about his eyes. Just, I wish he didn't shave. As much as I hated the beard, I wish he didn't shave. I mean, his performance was fine. It just felt like he was reacting to something that wasn't there the whole time, and it didn't come across as fear to me the whole time. It just came across as like a panic. Like I get that he's panicking, but it just came across, I guess the word I'm looking for is cheesy. Like just the way he looked reacting to the things that were happening around him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. I mean, I can see that. One of the things that I like about his performance, though, in this is that the fact that he is homeless and he is for like 10 years, you know, from when what happened to his parents and his sister's parents, you know, happens. I almost feel like he's dealing with more than just grief. I feel like there's something like what's the term? What's the term that they use now?
Post-traumatic stress?
No, beyond that. Neurodivergent. Like there's that term for people that have, you know, that their brains don't work, you know, the average way compared to, you know, the majority of people do. There's a term for that now that like encompasses every type of mental health. When you don't know exactly what the issue is, there's a term for it now. And it's like neurodivergent or something like that.
Neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. I feel like he's that in this. Because there are times when I feel like he's not processing emotions. It's more or less he's processing wants and needs instead of feelings. And I get, and where I get that from is his talk with his sister when he actually has a conversation with her for the first time in like 10 years. And Devin, to your point, he says, I don't talk much.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of talking. The way that he was talking to her, looking around the room, like I've seen that type of body language before in old classmates I used to have.
I mean, I don't necessarily even know that it's a specific like neurodivergence, like that it was built in his character in a type of backstory that we don't get to see where he just is a neurodivergent individual. I think it's just a byproduct of being homeless. I think that him looking around in the diner shifty like that read to me as I'm never welcome in establishments like this. I'm waiting to get thrown out.
It could be
like,
that too.
I mean, that's essentially how I feel. Like it was that Ernest Hemingway short story, A Clean, Well-Lighted Place. Like it's, you know, he's finally in a place where he feels safe and he can have this kind of conversation and open up in a way that he probably has wanted to for 10 years now since he's been homeless. But he literally can't until now, and this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right.
It could also be that I'm reading it into it where it's not there just because of my own experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking my own experiences and putting them into place where I've seen that before. So, I mean, it could also be that too. I'm just reading something that's not there. but this whole thing leads to my favorite scene in this entire movie. Is when he has the guy in the trunk and they're having their conversation. But so when it comes to what they were talking about, what did you guys think of the overall narrative in this about the fight between the families? Because that's almost an American story that's told over and over and over again. How did you guys feel of this telling of that?
I'm trying to think of other instances of your dad slept with my wife, or my, like, that's not the story that I know for the Hatfields and McCoys, but it feels very Hatfields and McCoys.
Well, I mean,
right.
Yes, I mean.
So wait, it was the main guy's mom slept with the other one's dad, or is it the other way around?
I think it's the other way around.
It's Dwight's dad slept with their mother.
Okay, and that husband went batshit.
Yeah. So, and then when their father found out and went to go kill him, he did that with both of Dwight's and his sister's parents in the car and killed both of them.
Right.
And that's what started this whole thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I don't know where I was going.
No, I liked it. I really did like the story. I liked that, like, in the beginning, you kind of get this setup of, like, you know, this is the person that he's after. This is why he's after them. Like, and he tells his sister, like, I killed him. And it's very much like, okay, good. You got your revenge. Now, like, there's going to be some retaliation. I think I know where this movie's going. That part did genuinely surprise me. And I mean, I don't know that there was much that kind of signaled that prior to it that, like, I should have picked up on. I don't remember, like, there being kind of any breadcrumbs there, but I think I like that little twist where it's like, okay, great, you got yourself in this this really, really deep hole because you chose to resort to violence and because you didn't even do it right.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, it's good. I like that.
Yeah, and there is a little breadcrumb, but there's no context to it at the very beginning, so it doesn't make any sense.
What is it? Because I missed it.
There's bullet holes in the Pontiac or Buick. I forget which one it is. I think it's a Pontiac, but there's bullet holes around where the driver's side window is in the car. Okay. So the next time you see it, you go, oh, he's driving the car his parents were killed in. Okay.
Got it. I would not have picked up on that.
Yeah.
Blue Ruin.
I saw that on IMDb and I was like, oh, okay. That would have been cool if they had actually alluded to that in the film instead of having to read it online. So I have one issue with the car, and I think I've justified it in my mind, but this is my main issue. So he leaves the car because he left the keys by the dead body.
Yeah.
Goes to his sisters in Pittsburgh. Is that right?
No.
Goes to his
Maryland.
sisters. Okay.
Goes to his sisters in Maryland.
Okay. Goes to his sisters. The bad guys show up in the shitty blue car. And I was like, okay, why do they have to drive his car? Like, that makes no sense to me because it's a piece of shit. I guess the justification is so they're not tracked at all when they kill this guy. But even, like, it's just an excuse to get the car back to him so he can have it for the rest of the film, which I get. But I'm like, they wouldn't drive his car. Right? Right? Am I crazy?
Actually, no. So they didn't call the police. They don't want the police involved. Yeah. They want to get their own retaliation. But at the same time, they don't want to be going to jail. So to them, it would just be easier to go into the house using his vehicle to do so because he didn't go to the police either, or else they'd know. So they use his vehicle to drive to where the address is and the paperwork in the glove box, which is how they found out is where the house was to begin with. They go into the house with a crossbow, kill him. Anybody else in the house, they kill too. And then they walk down the street with his cell phone, call the family, and they pick them up. To me, that makes sense.
I didn't even take it as them planning it out that much. I really didn't. I took it as, oh no, he stole our car. here's the keys to the one he left behind. We're just doing this really quickly and not planning it, and probably we don't have enough money to afford a different car.
Well, they say that they own like a chain of limos.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. Never mind then. They probably had a chain of limos.
So,
Maybe you don't mix business with like assassination or something in that world. I don't know. That's a good
you
point.
don't mix business with pleasure. But I mean, honestly, Kristen watches criminal crime documentaries all the time. And to be honest, what they did in the movie makes sense.
Okay.
To me.
Oh, so
when it comes to that.
This is something that I wanted to ask you guys, because this was kind of the overwhelming sense that I got from when I watched the movie, is that like this felt like a more realistic version of like a John Wick story, right? Like instead of the dog, you kill the parents, but like instead of like this super sleek assassin who's like, you know, looks good in a tailored suit and is going to a sommelier that sells guns, like he's going to his redneck friend who has too many guns, which is exactly where I would go if I was going to get guns.
I absolutely love that whole sequence.
I love it, and that like, he's doing this and he's like killing the guy he said he wanted to kill, but like he's not doing it well. He's forgetting things. I don't know. This Red is kind of a more realistic version of what this would look like. Did you guys get that sense, or was some of the things in it just like too over the top stupid? Because like I can see that read of it too.
You keep like talking about it like it's a different take on a John Wick story. I can't compare this to John Wick at all, except for the fact that John Wick has training and experience, and this guy's making it up by the seam of his pants as he goes along.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think I compare it because it's just a revenge story. Like,
it's revenge. That's what it is.
Because in John Wick, he goes through,
But in John Wick, you get to see everything. Like, at least in John, I guess the big difference for me is like in John Wick, you see the dog die. Like you see why he's so upset. You get to see him suffer. In this, we're just kind of like, okay. And you don't really get to, like, it slowly reveals everything. Whereas John Wick puts everything out front. Like, okay, this is the setup for the movie. This is why this guy's going out for revenge. And I think this one kind of shoots itself in the leg with a crossbow when you have like the kid in the back of the limo be like, oh, but he didn't kill your parents, like from the get-go, like he was innocent. And that, so I guess for me, the whole thing was like, okay, so all this is real. Okay. So if he wasn't responsible, like why are we doing all of this? Like what actually happened? Like instead of asking those questions, it just kind of goes off on this path of, I'm just going to kill, and I'm going to scare the shit out of my sister for no reason. And like,
well, I mean, he didn't scare her for no reason though. They came to the house to find him and kill him and possibly her. So, I mean, like, the thing is, like, he believed that the guy that was in jail, the one son, killed his parents. So he went and killed him in revenge. And then his plan was to just jump back in the Pontiac and drive away and hopefully get away with it. That went south when the guy was choking his neck and his cheap necklace broke and he lost the keys. He stole the limo. The kid in the back seat says that. And then from there on, the damage was already done. They were going to come for retaliation. That's why they showed him flipping through the TV in the one house he was squatting in for like 12 hours. And then he knew that, he eventually, figured it out in his head that, oh crap, they're coming to the house. And then he sent her away. I mean, so really it's just one giant chain of, everybody wants revenge and this is what happens. Like, there's no winners in it.
Well, I think go ahead.
I think that's my problem with it, because I know from the beginning no one's going to come out of this clean. This is going to go south for everyone, and any other week I probably would have enjoyed this more. This week I probably just wasn't in the right mindset for it. But there were many times in the movie I was like, "Don't do it, dude! Like, come on! Like, this is your way out. Like, you want out? Like, just end it here." like the phone call at the very end where he leaves the message and like what? I guess I'm just like I'm trying to understand, like justify this for me. Like,
Okay.
why call and leave that voice message like this is done? I want to be done with this. Leave my sister out of it. If you find me, great. Like, I just want to be done. Like, why leave that message and then stay there with a shotgun around the corner like that?
Was he waiting? Was he waiting to see if they really
wanted
would be
an
done?
answer? Yeah, he wanted an answer. And then he didn't turn around and shoot until the one guy said, "No, we're on our way to Pittsburgh, man." And then that's when he turned around and he shot. And that's when they start, and that was the ending. Like, I would have done the same thing. I want an answer. It's like you leave the voicemail, and then what are you going to do? Drive off to Pittsburgh and barricade the house and cause a shootout where, the police are going to show up?
Okay, so let's play through this scenario.
Okay.
He's standing there with a shotgun around the corner. They listen to the message, like, okay, yeah, we'll let bygones be bygones. Are they just going to let him walk out of the house then?
My assumption is he was by like the front door and could have just like scurried out. They'd be like, "Hold the noise."
He wasn't by the door. He was in the middle of the house. They came in the door. He would have to go by them to get out.
I don't think he was going. I believe his plan was that if they were going to be like fine and try to call back the number, he was going to walk out unarmed and let them end it to save the life of his sister.
Like, okay, fine, you have me. Like, he always planned on dying in that house. Like, no matter what.
He planned on dying in that house. That's what that's how I took it.
That's a good, because I did really picture him like scurrying out a window or something if it worked out. So I mean, I think I like your read on it better.
He just dives through. He just like just a running start and dives through the window.
Exactly, like
Scott Pilgrim style.
In a way that he's like not capable of during any of the movie. Yeah, that's what I pictured.
Yeah.
Kieran
but I mean, that's how I read that scene, is the fact that like he was waiting to hear what their answer was going to be, and I think he figured that the likelihood of him getting out of that house alive was like 2%. Like,
okay.
So to piggyback on this scene, then the one thing I do really like was his last word. I'm gonna say, or his last like sentence. I like that he was like, "Keys are in the car. Keys are in the car." To me, it felt like he was trying to do like the one decent thing that he did the whole movie.
Yeah,
because like he messes up and he causes a lot of stuff. And the thing is, you watch him realize what he's doing. And now at this point, he's like, okay, fine. This is the one thing I can do. I'm going to hold on to this. And I liked that, I think.
Yeah. And to me, one of the things, again, one of the small pieces, and it's like the meaning of this film is like, yeah, great. You can get your revenge. You can do that, but you don't know what type of what can of worms you're going to be opening by doing that. And he quickly learns it's the worst case scenario. The family doesn't want the police involved, and they want to do their own brand of justice. But there's two parts in this movie that it's a serious movie. There are a few parts that I laugh.
Okay.
And there are two parts that I laugh really hard. And one is when the one brother that he basically kidnaps is in the trunk screaming. Mm-hmm. He's like, let me out. And then Dwight goes, man, if I only had a gun. And then the screaming stops, like the frantic screaming, and the trunk stops. And the guy goes, well, shit, I could get you a gun. And then 3 seconds go by, and then he starts frantically screaming again. I laugh every time I hear that. And then another time is when Dwight has the guy in the trunk, and the guy's out, and they're talking in the field, and Dwight tries to shoot him, and he just slaps the side of the car and goes, "Fish in a barrel, man, fish in a barrel," because he couldn't shoot him from 10 feet away. It was hysterical. To me, that's funny. Like, that guy could. No aiming, like he's holding a rifle, for crying out loud. That's bad to miss.
I will say,
close of a distance.
I did enjoy everything with the guy in the trunk. Everything you just described, I did enjoy.
Yeah.
I think the moment that made me laugh was when he's walking. I'll give some context for this then. He walks into the hospital and then just passes out. It's like, I forget what he says, but he just like passes out in the lobby, and then he wakes up and just dips.
Hey, I had an accident.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then he just dips. And the funny thing is, I like just read like the unethical life tip where if you have to go to the hospital, like don't give them your ID. Like, they can't charge you then.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did. It's like, oh hey, Red, it's on the big screen. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, those two moments I really laughed the hardest on, but like to me being like I'm not a gun person, I'm not a gun guy, but
Mhm.
like I was on a competitive rifle team for my high school, so I shot competitively.
Mhm.
In Boy Scouts, I was the rifle range instructor at the Boy Scout camp that I worked at, and I was also the merit badge counselor. So I taught kids about hunter safety, gun safety, how to shoot, how to aim, like all of that stuff. I helped out on the shotgun range. I helped out with the archery range. So seeing a lot of stuff in this movie, like I feel like this is kind of like a gun culture movie at the same time. Simply because they show the gambit of how to handle guns, what the reality is about, owning firearms and what you're supposed to do. And one of the things that I always point to anybody that I know who have seen this movie is I like the little stuff that they do.
Mhm.
As in Dwight goes into like he needs to find a gun. He wants to find a gun. He doesn't have the money to buy a gun, so he goes to steal one, and he goes to a bar in like let's say the middle of the night, and he's just seeing if there's any cars with unlocked doors, and then he looks into a car and he sees a portable gun safe just sitting on the seat, not under the seat, not in the glove box, just
on
sitting just on the seat. He breaks the window and steals it. One of the funniest things that I like about that scene, or on like the humor side of things, is there's a firearm target practice target sticker on the back of that truck.
Aww.
So it's kind of like the person was identifying the fact that they were a gun person and they had it in their vehicle. So it's like you're making yourself a target for thieves. But at the same time, they also show what proper gun ownership looks like by having the trigger lock on it, and the fact that the gun was pretty much useless because to get the trigger lock off, he ends up breaking the gun to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's multiple things in this movie that I like about on that aspect too. And like I said, there's not one major thing I like that makes me like this movie. It's all of this little stuff that's sprinkled in it that makes me love it.
Yeah, see, I didn't pick up that was a trigger lock.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know what was going on there, so I was like, I don't know what this is. So
I just saw him break the gun.
And like honestly, I'm not a gun person. Like the only weapons I have in my house are lightsabers, and they're not even the good ones.
Same.
So yeah, I'm not a gun person, so that was completely missed on me. I like Devin said, like I can identify with if shit went south, I have to go to a friend with guns.
Yeah.
And in the chat, Peak says we all have those friends, Devin.
I'm sure everyone has that friend where they're like, all right, I need a gun, I go to him.
Yeah. So like having the car he finds the gun in, having all the little stuff in place, just like I mentioned, then having the trigger lock on there that he's trying to break off and he can't, and he ends up breaking the gun doing it. And then you've got the friend that he goes to and who tries to, and honestly, I feel like Dwight sometimes on this podcast because you guys do what his friend does, where his friend holds up the mini K-14. I looked it up. That's the name of the gun. I looked it up because I wanted to know what the actual name of it was.
I wouldn't have known.
And he goes like he starts to hum the A-Team theme song, and Dwight's like, I don't get it. And he's like, it's the A-Team gun, man. It's the gun from the A-Team. And he's like, okay. There's so many moments like this on this podcast between you guys and myself that I'm just like, yep, I identify with that moment exactly. But when he goes out and he tries to use it and he just misses the guy, and then you hear the pop of like the rifle, and then like a few seconds go by, and then like this part of the guy's face just disintegrates.
Graphic.
Very nice graphics though. I love that because that's accurate. That's like 100.
That's it.
that is 150% accurate to time of hearing the gunshot and the time spent to like the bullet hitting. Like that was absolutely done, like, as far as I'm concerned, perfectly. The funny part was Kristen said about how much that like that scene like shocked her a little bit because like she heard it but she was confused, and then the bullet hit and the guy goes on the ground. Funny thing with me is as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, this guy's dead. And then boom, dead. And then boom.
Shocked me. I literally rewound that part. I was like, what happened?
But so there's even that little stuff when it comes to like gun handling and just the way guns are and like how they work. Like there's that aspect of things in it too. It does make me cringe a little bit when he throws that blanket full of guns into the lake because I just know all the corrosion that's going on the metal, and it makes me hurt a little bit because that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
No. I'm thinking about it because that's a lot of money.
Right.
Like that's a lot of money getting dumped into that lake.
We are getting uber communist or uber capitalist Ryan tonight. That is
I know. I'm sorry.
Money going into the lake.
That it is. But yeah.
So I had one last question about this movie, and in this. I started thinking about it because I'm like, I love this movie. It talks about the cost of revenge, like the real cost of revenge. But then, like, so does a lot of revenge movies. Like, this is the cost of revenge. Is it worth it? Like, that's something that's explored enough, I think, that like if we were to do like a whole like 3-parter on or a whole like triple feature on the movies based on the cost of revenge, we could all pick one that the other ones haven't seen. So I think my question is like, since this is such a like common movie trope, is revenge happening that much in real life that people need to keep cautioning against it? Like, I don't know that I've ever like purposely got revenge. I mean, obviously not the killing kind, but like, I don't know, not even like a snarky email back. Like, I just don't do revenge. Like, is this something that like you think needs reinforced this much in media, or is this just like an easy way to make a movie?
It's both, I think.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with the stakes. Like, I think story-wise is why there are so many revenge tales, because like that character's motivation, what was taken from them, whether you've seen it like you do in the John Wick movies or if it's told to you like it is in this. I think it's just having that motivational force, or to bring up another example, MacGruber.
Yeah.
Because at the heart of it, that's a revenge story. Like it's MacGruber going up against Val Kilmer's character, who I still won't say on the show.
We won't. Nope.
It's a revenge story. He's getting revenge for the murder of his wife at his wedding. So I think it's just you can tell so many different kinds of stories like that. You can tell a thriller, action thriller like John Wick. You can tell a action comedy like MacGruber. The one that comes to mind for me is Minority Report.
Yeah.
Just sitting here trying to think of a revenge story like that's heavily like you can tell a sci-fi revenge story, because at the heart of it, that film is a revenge story. He's trying to find out what happened to his son, and like he that's what his motivational force. That's his motivation for why he works at pre-crime and all of that, and it leads him down this path to find the person who's responsible and get his revenge. Devin, can you think of another revenge film that we haven't talked about?
True Grit, which you haven't seen, is a revenge film.
I've seen it.
Oh, did you actually watch it?
A long time ago, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't talk about it on the show.
Yeah. True Grit's one, like Gladiator's one of them. There's The Godfather is technically a revenge movie, I think, if you kind of pull it back.
I would say Godfather 2 more than Godfather.
I think you're right. I haven't seen Godfather 2 in a long time, though.
I haven't either. I have rewatched The Godfather, but I haven't gotten Godfather 2 yet. Ryan, how about you? Can you think of another revenge film?
I mean, there's tons.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
Yeah, I know, but I know there's tons, and that's a problem. Whenever there's too many of an answer, my mind goes blank because I can't shuffle everything around.
Okay. Ryan's answer is going to be The Princess Bride. Got it.
Princess Bride. There we go. Yeah,
That's a great
definitely.
one.
Let's
Yeah,
just
right?
go with that. Let's
My
go
name is
with
Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn, now I
But
want to
yeah.
watch that.
Do it.
So one of the reasons, the main reason why I picked this movie, and I've been wanting to do this anyway, and this just gave me a good reason for it, is because this is an example of like an art film, like because this film was nominated at 20 for 20 different awards, spread out amongst like 18, 19 different music festivals. Not music festivals, movie film festivals. Thank you. And funny enough, it actually and it won 7 of those like 20, and one of them was for the narrative. There was some award for like best narrative through a film, and funny enough, that was at the Virginia Film Festival, where
of course it was,
where like half this movie takes place.
Yeah.
So I definitely consider this to be in that like art house art film category. And I find it funny that Alan and I basically switched positions from last week to this week. And I think this pretty much shows the difference when it comes to like, this is the type of like art film that I do like, where it does the drawn out scenes a little bit, but this movie to me is the perfect runtime. Like, this is a perfect movie runtime in an hour and a half.
Yes, this was an hour and a half of a movie. Like, this was...
So like, to me, this is perfect. You get all of the art housey type stuff in it. You get all of the weird art housey camera angles in it that you expect with these type of movies. But it's only an hour and 30 minutes compared to last week, which was 2 hours.
I watched this with you.
This is my example of just the differences between what Alan and I were talking about last week.
So what I was going to say is I watched this movie with you. Not this one, but I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey with you.
Yeah.
Was that one too much for you? Because like that one like is not an overly complex space story, but does artsy things. Like there's a long drawn out shot of a pen floating in space.
Do I know why that's different to me?
Yeah, because I do. I really do. Because that seems like for you the wrong side of art house.
It's sci-fi.
Okay, fair.
And the fact that it's in space intrigues me. So I'm fine with it drawing that type of stuff out to a point. And there's a lot of it being the first movie to do that type, to be able to do the type of stuff it does when it did. Okay. So there's genre and history that's mixed into like that pulls a lot of this stuff back.
I will accept that answer, Ryan.
So for me, like the big difference between I don't want that picture back up. The big difference between this and it was that pie from earlier. The big difference.
Keep it up.
Yeah, the big difference between this and The Power of the Dog. I think is just money. Like honestly, like anyone can go out and make a film like this. Devin and I tried it.
We did
recently.
Not
to this extreme, but like the power of filmmaking is the art of filmmaking is very accessible right now. Anyone can take a cell phone out and film a movie if they wanted to. And this is very low budget, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with low budget films. I work on them all the time. I make my own with no budget. This has more of a budget than anything I've ever worked on, personally. And I think the big difference between Ryan, would you say that the acting quality is on par with what you saw in Power of the Dog in this?
Honestly, yes.
Okay. I would say yes too, to be fair. I know you're probably making a point against it, and please change my mind, but like I think that they were both kind of cartoony. I think Benedict Cumberbatch was as cartoony as this guy was cartoony paranoid.
Yeah. I think the big difference is name 3 Benedict Cumberbatch projects outside of Power of the Dog, name 3 with this guy. Like I think not that I'm going against the Academy, but I think the Academy is very like this is what we're going to nominate because we know these people, and it's like if you want to see like good cinema, like this, like if you Ryan, if you like this, you're gonna love. Like, you go to any film festival, you're gonna see stuff on par with this. You're gonna see stuff that's worse than this. You're gonna see stuff that's better than this. Like, film festivals really run the gambit. But this is definitely a film festival film. Like, I'm not surprised that it went to all these film festivals and won all these awards. It definitely deserved them. I don't know if it's Oscar quality because there are so many rules and stipulations for Oscars too. But this is definitely an independent film.
Yeah,
independent art house film. And I bring all this up to say, because I think we can announce this because I want to announce it, and I'm going to
do it.
You Have to Watch This Podcast is going to be one of the sponsors of an event coming up at the end of April, which is the horror-centric, mental health-focused, Horrific Hope Film Festival that our friends over at Victims and Villains are hosting. This film festival is taking place in Winchester, Virginia at the Alamo Drafthouse. And the graphic I have here on the screen says that it is a little bit inaccurate. Originally, it was going to be half online, half in person. It is now a fully in-person event at the Alamo Drafthouse on April 29th and April 30th. I will be there. Devin might be there. Ryan, I would suggest you go to this. I think you're going to see some stuff here that you're gonna enjoy. Like, I think a film festival is right up your alley, and since we're sponsoring one, I think you'd really enjoy some of the stuff that's coming out of this.
You guys have never seen how I react to art movies that I don't like.
You know what? I want to see it. I really want to see it, and I want to talk about some of these movies there.
No.
I want to go to this.
The first bad one I see, I might be in my car driving back home. You don't understand how much I don't like bad art films.
You are now the judge. They will have Ryan in every screening, and if it's bad, they will let you know. He will let you know.
Yeah, because the festival's going to be over because the judge is going home after the first one I don't like.
I love this. I love the stakes.
You won't have to. We're not actually judging anything. I don't think. I'll have to talk to Josh, but
yeah,
it's going to be a cool event. We'll be sharing more information as the event gets closer. But it's going to be a really fun time. I've seen a little bit of. Actually, I have all of the films on my desktop right now because I have to edit the sizzle reel, so I can go through and watch them all now, and I can tell Ryan which ones he should skip. But
I'm so jealous, actually.
But yeah, it's going to be really cool. We have some fun things planned for that as well. We're doing another awareness-a-thon with them to promote the event. So that'll be, mark your calendars now, April 29th and 30th in Winchester, Virginia at the Alamo Drafthouse. There'll be drink specials and food specials that are themed to the film festival. I'm trying to get Josh on board for some raffles, so we'll see. But it's gonna be a great time. So I highly recommend you guys check that out. Anything else on Blue Ruin before we wrap this up?
It was crowdfunded.
That's
I wanted to get that in there when Alan was talking about the budget for the film. Is that was it the director funded the production on the film through a successful Kickstarter campaign, which MTV of all places said was the perfect example of what crowdfunding can accomplish.
Yeah, fair. It's a good read on it.
Funnily enough, I just saw the Family Guy where Stewie, Brian, and Chris decide to crowdfund a film because they wrecked a electronics store, and they're like, "Oh, let's just do a Kickstarter for a film, and then just say it fell through, and then take the money." But then they ended up raising too much money, so they had to make the film.
Yeah,
like if Zach Braff can do it, why can't we?
Exactly. But the thing is, I would definitely like the quote from what MTV said about crowdfunding, if maybe this was the late 90s, back when MTV actually did have a good news program, a good news bench. Like MTV was actually good at doing news and putting out facts. Since like 2006, I'm not entirely sure. Anything past that, when it comes to like MTV, reports, and it's not something that has to do with like top 40 music at the current time, I just kind of shuffle. I just kind of at this point.
Can you guys think of any other examples of crowdfunded films that you enjoy?
Yes, in fact.
Any other?
Oh my gosh! Hold on.
For me, the Veronica Mars movie is a good one. That already had the built-in fan base, so like they're like, hey, if we raise this much money, we'll make a movie, and everyone's like, yes, please, and they broke like all the Kickstarter records in a day.
So my movie is that I love from Kickstarter. It stars Michael Fassbender, David Hasselhoff, and David Sandberg. Do you guys know this movie? It's Kung Fury.
How old is that?
It is 2015.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a different one, and I was going to say, Devin, that's a really problematic movie.
I don't know that this is.
It's not, because the one I'm thinking of came out in like either the late 90s or very early millennium, and now that I'm talking about it, I think it's called Kung Pao or something like that.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it's 100% not that. This is Well, if you guys haven't seen this, it's 31 minutes of glory.
31 minutes of glory.
Best 31 minutes of your life.
Just looking at some of the biggest films that were Kickstarter funded, Kung Fury, The Babadook, which I did not know was a Kickstarter film.
That's a very good one.
None of these other ones are really jumping out at me.
Did you just go for The Babadook?
The ending killed it for me. I'm sorry.
Oh, I loved it. It was a metaphor for depression. The whole thing.
Wow, so original.
Give me more metaphor movies. I'll take it. I don't care if it's a horror. I'll eat it.
I'm sorry, but that was just like, that was basically like, oh my god, this is actually turning out to be a really good horror movie. That's what it is? Seriously? Oh, come on. That was seriously my reaction to that movie. I'm sorry, but no. I'm sorry.
Other ones like we mentioned, just trying to get away from. I have nothing to contribute to that. I haven't seen The Babadook.
Oh, gotcha.
The Veronica Mars, like we mentioned, Wish I Was Here, the Zach Braff
Forgot about that
one that we mentioned. Laser Team by Rooster Teeth.
Oh yeah.
Blue Mountain State, the movie. I feel like I lived that because I went to Penn State, and I feel like that's what they're making fun of.
Just that.
But yeah. Speaking of Kickstarter, Devin and I played a thing over the weekend. I introduced Devin to a game that started on Kickstarter, called Ravine, and it was a lot of fun.
It's a fun game. I like board games a lot, and this was a really good one. It's a weird mix of like genuine strategy and like party game. Because like a lot of party games I played are just like, put the funny thing on your head. You get to sing like a cowboy now, and like it's just stupid. This one wasn't stupid. This one was fun.
Yeah. We realized after you left we wouldn't be able to play the expansion because you need like 8 people to do that one.
You need 8 people?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So next time you're in town.
Yeah.
We'll get Ryan involved. And
good.
There's a Kickstarter game that it should be getting released at some point this year, I think, where it's I think the term is second person, not first person, but like a second person game.
Yeah.
Where you're an alley cat. And you have to go on like missions and stuff, but like it's not like cartoony. Like you're an actual physical cat that is an actual cat. Like you're not like some cartoon cat with a gut. Like you're an actual cat, and you have to go on these like puzzle missions where like you have to like navigate the city to go from one location to another to like move stuff around or whatever. It looks really good. Like it does. Like, but I'm trying to find the name of it. But
you'll have to send it to me after because that description did not sell me on it.
Yeah.
No, you have to see the animation for it.
Okay, I'm down.
All right. I think that does it for this week's episode on Blue Ruin.
Yeah.
Devin, next week is your pick because that's how the show works, and you'll actually be here for your week. So tell us what you have us watching next week.
We're watching an Oscar nomination
Ooh.
because there's an Oscar nomination that's coming out that's very, very close to my heart. And I've actually, oddly enough, heard some very mixed reaction to this movie. So I know where Ryan sits on it, but I'm very curious where you sit with it, Alan.
Okay.
Next week's watch is Encanto.
Wait a second. I just had a realization.
What's your realization?
I don't think I'm going to be here for the show next week.
You know what? It doesn't matter. We're still doing Encanto, and if it just ends up being Ryan and I talking about Encanto, it's going to be us talking about it.
We can't do that.
You can't do that.
Okay, are you not going to be here for the show next week?
I don't think I'm going to be here for the show next week. If that changes,
that's
I'll
fine.
let you know.
Okay,
then
that's
fine.
fine.
I'll be here in time.
Then
I'm
Ryan,
on set, of an independent film.
Oh yeah,
so
that's good. That's good though.
Yeah.
So wait, Ryan, have you seen There Will Be Blood?
What? I'm sorry.
Have you seen There Will Be Blood, the movie?
Yes, I have.
Dang it. Okay. You know what? We'll talk about it after the show.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll figure it out because I had to ruin everything.
No, it's all right. We'll figure this out.
I feel bad. I made the joke that that you weren't here for your last week, and now I'm not going to be here for your.
It's karma. It's going all the way around.
It is. Well, until next time, if you want to find out what our episode is going to be next week, where Devin and Ryan are probably going to be talking by themselves, you can find out what the pick's going to be on our Facebook and Instagram feeds. You can make sure you follow the show here on Twitch and Facebook and YouTube. You can visit our website, rumrunnerspodcastnetwork.com/you have to watch this podcast. Where you can find all of our previous episodes, our Twitch stream, and links to our socials. In fact, I'll put that in the chat here just before I forget.
Perfect.
And until next time, I'm going to throw some things out there for Devin and Ryan to pick from for next week.
Oh, good.
And until next time, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And they will see you next week.
See you next week without Alan.